All right, everybody. This is episode 9 of the podcast, and we're here with Hannleitasa. I think I got that right.
Yep.
Sweet. That's the second time I said it now. So,
I
but yeah,
haven't said it too many times.
but yeah. If you haven't seen him before, he is on Instagram. Super busy on Instagram, doing all sorts of cool stuff. He's got a whole range of soft goods. He does some legit kit items. He does some clothing mods and a lot of clothing mods, a lot of kit stuff. So we should have plenty of things to talk about, and hopefully you guys can pick his brain, and we'll just talk all of the things today, and hopefully we'll do a good bit of discussion about the clothing mods, because we haven't talked about that on the show before. And that's some pretty neat stuff, because I think a lot of people are, one, afraid to get into sewing at all, and then even the guys that are super into sewing, the apparel mods and clothing mods seem to be pretty rare to find somebody that actually wants to do that. So that's pretty interesting. But I will kick it over to you, and you can just introduce yourself to whatever depth you want to.
I'm Hannleitasa. I've been sewing for, I don't know, maybe since like 2014, and then seriously doing it for like the past year and a half. I was an electrician before I did this, and I just hated working out in the cold. I really fell in love with sewing, and just I I wanted things that I couldn't afford, so I just kind of started making and copying my own stuff, and then wanted to do that for other people. And I don't know, I just got into it that way, I guess. I don't know.
Very
Just met,
cool.
yeah.
And I should point out, this is the first guest we've had on the show that this is actually their full-time gig, which is pretty neat, pretty legit. Uh,
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
and Matt from Axel has already shown up to call you a witch for doing apparel sewing. So that's making the
I
point
am,
right there.
I am a witch, as you can see.
Yes. So um, we'll ask this question right off the bat. Do you do more apparel or more like traditional kit type stuff?
I when I first started, it was more clothes, like modding, raid mods. I mean,
Okay.
pretty much 24/7 raid mods. And then I just kind of started messing around with the standard Spiritus pouch. Uh, and I kind of go back and forth, I guess, between garments. Really, what I've been doing for the past year is just like an amalgamation of people that have either inspired me or that want uh, want an image, have an image of a garment in their head, and they come to me for it. Like a lot of the stuff you see me doing now is everybody else's creative vision, which is I love it. It's so cool, man. Um, I mean, that's really what it is, I guess. Just having people come to me with their ideas and then putting them out. And yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, I kind of lost myself in that question for a second. A
No,
little
no, that's
nervous
cool.
about it.
No worries. And I had somebody. So I'm pretty bad about making like notifications on these things ahead of time. I meant to do it this morning, but I did get a question almost as soon as I posted it, or a comment, a little of both actually, from a gentleman. And he pointed out you have such a broad range of patterns and fabrics that you work in. I think if there's anything, as I'm browsing stories throughout the day or something, that really pops out is the absolute limitless just combinations of things that you're putting out. And he was curious.
Every customer's idea. It really is. It's so cool to see like somebody be like, "Hey, I want this and this together," and it just like works. I mean, I have so many things in my head that I want to do, like patterns that I have set aside, and I mean, I'll get to those eventually. But like, it feels awesome to see what other people want to see, I guess, and kind of putting it to paper for them. Um, so like, my day to day is based off of somebody wanted a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? So like
Right.
2 weeks from now, I could be doing just strictly kits or like just jackets. The mods, they're really awesome, and I do so many of them that don't make it, just like regular chocolate chip and desert night camo stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. It's just cool to see everybody's stuff. Like if everybody come up with an idea of a combination with it. Like I haven't found one thing that I didn't like that somebody presented to me, I guess. Like I have a book of all my stuff. Like this is my Bible, my day to day.
Oh, cool.
And like I'll flash through it real quick, right? This is just like everybody's ideas as it shows up on
nice.
my Instagram. Like tomorrow's page will be, I don't know, a mix up of something from January that somebody wanted. And I like that. Like I wake up every day and I'm like, oh, who came up with today's menu of like, what am I going to, like what cool pattern am I going to pull out of a USPS box and put on something? I don't know. This is a Sunshine Works custom Desert Night Camo moleskin cover.
Oh, sweet.
This guy really inspired me. Like I do a lot of Desert Night mods. I'm pretty sure he was one of the first to do like the full resize and refit, inseam fit. And I don't know, this is somebody you should be talking to. Like I'm okay. Sunshine Works. This guy's really good at it.
I'll make a note of that for sure.
This is what my Instagram is in physical form, I guess.
That's super cool.
Like everybody's ideas that I kind of bring to life. It's fun.
No, I like it, and I think looking back, because I've been interested in this stuff probably since a little bit before 2005, so it's been a little while now, and for the longest time it was more or less purely function driven. And I think one of the big things that came out of probably 2020, I don't even think it was as far back as 2019, or as recent as 2019, I should say, is kind of the merger of function and then almost like an art. And I think you're kind of on the forefront, at least of the people that I'm aware of and that I follow.
Yeah.
And the blending of patterns, like I never would have thought to mix like Alpenflage and Desert Night Camo, right? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. But then you see like the things that you're putting out, and if you're not using this stuff in like a professional manner, like why not have some fun with it? And I think it's really cool the different combinations that people are asking you to do and that you're putting out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the inspiration of everyone else. It really is style and function. And I mean, I'm not the first person to do it, and I definitely am not the best. I'm inspired. I mean, there's like the early, late 90s runway was using Desert Night Camo parkas. Like there's shots of people on like Chelsea Piers area fashion nights running a runway walk in these parkas. It's like, yeah. Oh yeah, this fad, this huge fad. It's like, dude, these things there's so many of them everywhere, and people have been doing it for so long. Like this is not a new thing. I don't know. And then there's like Maharashi, who those guys, they do the disruptive pattern material book, and their use of camouflage and functionality in fashion is pretty wild. I don't know. That's one thing that comes to mind, I guess. It really does stem from, like, it's weird to say, but a 4chan culture of fashion and like camouflage, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Like that's kind of how I got it. What was that?
Oh, somewhere out there's a surplus store that is just delighted that guys like you have figured out a way to actually sell Desert Night Camo.
Oh, I mean, when I started doing this, I would buy ACU, the combat tops, in bulk. I'd buy 20 or 30 of them, and people would be like, why do you want these? Because what I would do is take the parkas, the Desert Night parkas, cut them up, and then put the ACU hardware on the parka. So it's really fast. You could just chop the parka, and then just directly put on the Velcro, because the gray Velcro, the ACU like blended pretty nicely with it. So I was just buying ACUs in bulk at like $7 a piece, I guess. And people are like, "Why are you buying all these things?" It's cheaper than buying the Velcro and the zipper, which is a really nice zipper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I guess that is, it's more of a resurgence though now. Like I see so many surplus stores that are doing well because of street fashion, I guess. But I don't know. I kind of just want to piss people off when I do it. Like it's kind of fun to like cut up in a check night, like a one of the check crewman coats, or like I don't know, like the DPM I just did was a P68. It's a 1968 like British DPM coat, and I cut it up and I could smell the dirt on it. I can like hear people being like, "Why would you do that?"
But I mean, if it gets it back out there being used, it's not a loss. So
And it's cool people are using them. Like I don't know, I get a lot of photos and videos of people using them just around. It's cool to see. I definitely think that the people modding them now have kind of driven the price of the parka up a lot, which is awesome.
yeah,
Because it is a cool piece of history, not just in militaria, but in clothing. Like it is cool. I don't know, but it is a fad, and I just see in grid. I see in grid now all the time. So fucking, it's so over it.
so I usually hold off until closer to the end on these like worst case or extreme questions. But Matt wants to know what the hardest mod you've done is, and why is it a diamond gusset crotch?
Oh man, I've never actually modded a diamond gusset crotch, but I built a pair of booty shorts, and they have a diamond gusseted crotch pretty recently that out of Estonian desert.
Nice.
You'll probably see those in a few weeks. Actually, they're pretty funny. But I did diamond gusset the crotch on those.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like cut out the little sides right here. It's good. It's good fabric. My personal stuff I've been working on has kind of more just been like camouflages that I really gravitate towards, and functionality of them. Like the Estonian desert, the fabric and the pattern are so well engineered for defeating different types of night vision. So I thought it'd be a good contrast. Like, oh, I work with this shitty pattern that is aesthetically cool. Like, what can I work with on the other side of the spectrum that actually works and is super effective and is niche and hard to get?
Nice.
I don't know. Estonian, yeah.
So I guess since you've had so many different patterns pass through your hands, I got to ask, what is your favorite, we'll say camouflage, and then what is your favorite combination that you've done or seen done?
Oh, my favorite camouflage. I'm probably gonna have to say I actually don't really know the designation for it, but it's the Chinese desert pixelated stuff.
Okay.
I really dig that. And it's because when I first saw it, it wasn't through the PLA or like any PLA videos, which I mean, I didn't notice it until I had seen it in an ISIS video, as weird as that sounded. Like it was one of the first videos that had really come out, and the guy was in one of the custom cut uniforms in that pattern, and I was just like, holy shit, that is a scary thing to wear. Like to think about how he got the fabric, who made it. Like there's a thing in clothes, like if what you're wearing is functional and well made or like thought about, then I wish I could actually explain this better, but it's like there's a you're set up, you're well prepared, put together, you know?
Right.
And I think like it's your presentation and it's the volumes, like what you have on speaks to what you're about to do or what you're going to portray. And that seeing that in that video was like, an epiphany for me of like, holy shit, how did they get the fabric for that? Who made it? And then I remember seeing things about, I can't remember if it was Mountain Gorilla or Full Nine. It could be someone else like Silo Report, but they had done the tailors in Syria pretty recently actually. And that was always something that I was like super interested in, is people tailoring like during like Yugoslavian conflict and Bosnia and stuff. And then who like makes clothes for I don't know, people that are going to go die or kill people, you know, like is there a mental thing to that? I've always kind of found fascinating, because like, so somebody made this garment, they're clearly wearing it for the implications of how the pattern, like somebody definitely wore that PLA pattern knowing what they were trying to portray, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
I have this thing in my head and I have a hard time spitting it out. I don't know.
No,
Put
makes
it on.
sense. I will say,
I don't know.
I was in Cambodia, not last year, the year prior, 2019, and there were some Chinese people there as well, some instructors, and it was interesting because everything is manufactured right there, right, and it's cheap. They go all out on accessorizing their military. So these dudes showed up in PLA camouflage sneakers, which blew my mind, because they had been wearing their dress uniform up until that point, and then they showed up in utilities, right, in camouflage sneakers. And I was like, why do we not have camouflage sneakers? Because that looks so comfy. And I think that was the only time I've ever been jealous of the Chinese military. But
The camouflage sneakers.
yeah, I was all about it. So.
It's overkill to me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Watch inside things, so it's like whatever.
Completely unnecessary. And the South Koreans that were there would not be outdone. They had everything imaginable in their camouflage. They had like the sun like wrist guards,
Yep.
just for sunburn in their camouflage. This is crazy.
Yeah, wow, they do everything, and they really do have such a taste for patterns, especially in that. I don't know, like in that PLA pattern in the desert. I wish I could remember the designation for it, but there's like a really nice blue color. Like when I actually started reading about it and looking at different swatches of it and actually buying garments, which I have so much of it. Like I've just been stacking that. Like I probably got like 30 PLA BDUs just sitting there where I'm like, I want to do something cool with this stuff. But there's like this weird blue hue, and that kind of drew me to it. And then I don't know, just how the browns pop. It's like a nice khaki, and it is such a really well made uniform. Like from the buttons to the like the seam and the serging of the zipper.
Okay,
They're pretty nice.
that's so crazy, because like
you go so overboard with it.
yeah.
Manufacturing. I don't know. It's cool.
Have you worked with the current Italian uniform at all?
Like not the Vegeta, right?
I don't know if it's still that or not. Like I'm not super hip on what it's all called.
Nope.
We had an Italian liaison when I was there, and he wore his like combat configuration uniform one day.
Yep.
And just like the things that they were putting in what was essentially a general issue uniform. You know, like we've got like Cries and Dry Fires and Patagonians that are all really nicely done, but like that's not the everybody uniform. And then he's wearing this thing, and it had like mesh armpits. I was like, that's so smart.
Like the Germans have mesh armpits in theirs too, and the Tropentarn
Okay.
tops. Yeah. Yep. I personally don't really care for vents. Like I just like to take whatever I'm wearing off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just so weird,
Uh,
like what makes it into a uniform, depending on where you're at. Like,
yeah, right. That's a good point, actually. Like I'm wearing my uniform right now. Like this is what you would catch me in any given day, I guess. I don't know. I actually don't really ever wear any of that stuff. Like I rarely wear camouflage or anything. Um, I do when I'm like fucking around out in my woods. That's really about it.
yeah,
Yeah. I kind of try to be more low key with it, I guess.
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I think it takes a certain mentality to just wear camouflage any day of the week, I guess. But
I don't know. It is really fun though to like I make a lot of stuff that people actually wear and use. And it's cool to think about it that way. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to wear this thing, but I don't really have a use for it,
yeah,
you know? So I like live vicariously through other people who are like, oh yeah, I was playing airsoft in your thing, or like I was cleaning this shitter in this jacket, or like my best friend, he just enlisted. He enlisted at 34 years old, man.
oh, nice.
And before he left, I like made him a whole thing. Like I just like he's pretty much my brother, and it's cool now. He went through boot camp and stuff, and like has been assigned, and he's just sending me photos like, dude, been using your stuff, man. Like,
That's awesome.
and then I resize a lot of stuff from other people,
Yeah,
actually. I don't know, like I get a lot of plate bags sent to me for modifications and like belts. A lot of people buy medium and they need them shortened to like 2 inches or
okay,
larges 2 inches on a lot of the more modern belts.
okay,
So like that's something a lot of, yeah.
nice. What
Mostly talking around. I don't know. I guess there was kind of like some stuff I'd like to touch upon, like that whole Dean's Desert Night camo fad is pretty crazy, and there are other people like you should definitely go check out the other guys that are doing jacket mods, like Tribute Custom Works. He's another guy that does them, and I think everyone should mod their own clothes. Like if you have these garments and you have access to a sewing machine or even needle and thread, just try it. Just do it. I don't
yeah,
know.
I've made that mistake, so I'm good. I did I did a couple of raid mods back in my day. I just can't. I don't enjoy sewing. So
Yeah, some people don't do that. I don't know.
yeah,
I get a lot of people that ask me how to do it, and like I have no problem just being like, here, I'll walk you through here how to do it. Here you go. Like, let's
yeah,
do this. You want to make a scrap or a insert or a chassis? Like, here you go. Here are my fucking measurements, dude. Have fun. I'll teach you how to do this stuff. And
that's
that's,
awesome.
I don't know, one of the most enjoyable things about it. But like, I do this full time. I work, and while I work, I kind of will answer questions for people trying to figure out like how to do a thing here or there, like every couple of days. And it's cool to see people like grow and start doing stuff on their own and actually like I I did do a raid mod, man. Like, yeah.
that that is really cool, and I like the I
Like,
like
don't
the
pay me to do it. Do it on your own. You know?
yeah, right.
I don't know.
I like the new breed of folks like yourself that are coming out that like are are happy to share this kind of information. And like I've seen it a lot in the Taylor Raid Discord, like just
Oh man, I love that. It's awesome.
and like
That
it's so interesting because you guys could be right, just like pure competitors to each other, right? Like
yeah.
no, I don't want to help him. I don't want to help him. Like they are legitimately like catering to the same customer base.
Yep.
But you guys everybody in there like is hey,
Oh, it's
what's
awesome.
it's just back and forth answering questions. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. It I kind of did expect that though, like talking to everyone else individually. Like I haven't met a person that I really was like, because I haven't had an interaction with anyone, and I have heard of people having shitty interactions with other people. But like, I don't know, it's cool to see how that's evolved. And the guy that came up with that idea, like, he couldn't have done it at a better time, because there really is a resurgence of people like taking their own creation into their hands, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
And
for sure.
at first I was kind of weirded out of like, oh man, I don't know any of these guys. I copy your shit. I make a drop in the pan, dude. I live in poverty. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not your enemy. And that's not how it felt at all. It was just like everyone was like, yeah, this is what's going on. This is how we do our thing. Like, it's cool. Ask a question and somebody will answer. It's kind of a rare thing nowadays. And it's like all the other bullshit is set aside. And in that community, it really is just like sewing. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
No, it's super refreshing to see that.
My whole background and how I started getting into this was like all the camo threads on K, and which was a tight community of people that lasted for a couple of years, and a lot of cool stuff came out of it. And then it was kind of shunned when GQ came around, and then there was like a whole bunch of kind of, I don't want to say hobbyist tailors in that group, but some of the most talented people that would just do it on a Saturday. Like, oh, I copied an APC, and it's like, you just copied, looks exactly the same. Like, that is sick. I want to know how to do that. Like, I want to make myself think like that. And I kind of try to stick to that of like, I try not to sell stuff that you can get easily from other manufacturers. Like, I really want to specialize in camouflages and just like one-off different colors. You know, like, I try not to do too much Ranger green. I'll tell people to go elsewhere if they want multicam. Like,
yeah,
because that's not my wheelhouse. There are people that'll probably do it better and who have been doing it longer. I don't know. But I still want to like do their shit because it is fun to like cut something up with a razor blade and then be like, I am gonna try over and over again until I make something that resembles this, and to do it in something that no one else offers, I guess. But like, that all stemmed from wanting things in different colors because of the camouflage community, I guess, and like seeing how it's not historical reference, because I actually hate that whole thing of like people latching on to different patterns because of some implication, which I don't even want to fucking talk about. But it's more or less like the faction of like violence, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
The aesthetic of violence. It's crude and at the same time very it's different. I don't know. Like, it's a weird line to toe, I guess.
No,
I don't know.
Makes sense. I mean, I agree. There's some really cool stuff out there that has been used by people doing some really out there causes, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily have to ruin the art of it, I guess.
No, I mean, I don't know. There's like I'm pretty sure it's Lebanese. The Lebanese screen printed, actually such an impressive process of what they did. But they had taken pictures of historical moments in their history of like different heartfelt things happening and created a camouflage out of silhouettes. And it is like, it's a peace camo. And when you see this camouflage, it really is calming. Like, someone did engineer this thing to like present an image of like calm helpfulness through not just a palette of colors, but also the blobs, or the amoebas rather. It was like I think a scrambled egg, like the Egyptian style, but in a desert color with like light hues. So like, there's both sides of that spectrum. Like, Swiss camouflage, it's meant strictly for concealment. Like, those guys, it was engineered as a defensive purpose, not necessarily offensive. And then you have camouflages that are engineered for offensiveness and like just being loud and just in your face and threatening, like a PLA camouflage, or like large blocks. I don't know. I can get lost talking about it, but it really is like somebody took the time to design this thing you wear to project the feeling outside of like a fashionable sense of like, or peace or threat or like, I don't know, a bruteness. I don't know. It's cool, man.
No,
That's why
it's neat. It's neat how passionate you are about the actual design of the pattern itself, right? Because it's so easy to get lost in. It's 2021. Multicam is probably the most effective across the board, right? Like I think we've kind of reached that point, but that doesn't necessarily negate
I know that. I don't go through the testing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there are guys that could answer that question for you and be like, no, this is the most effective shit right now.
Yeah.
And that is cool.
But yeah, that doesn't have to negate the art of it. That's what I'm saying. Like you're clearly passionate about the actual feelings and emotions and art that goes into designing the patterns, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And more or less just like the design, the technical history of it, I guess, is what really gets to me. Not necessarily like any political implication or like reason to like pattern other than how someone engineered it or made it.
No, I mean that's all it needs. That's awesome. Like,
yeah.
And I think it kind of plays into the whole, like, this is going to sound really cheesy, but like the whole kind of cancel culture thing that we're going through right now. Like, the history of how it was used doesn't necessarily have to mean that it wasn't cool, right? Like,
oh no, not at all. Exactly.
It can be neat stuff, and I think that's kind of a refreshing thing. Like, it's separate from the human beings that wore it, right?
But at the same time, if you come to me screaming like, "Oh, I want this and this," I'll probably gonna tell you fuck off. In sense, it's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, I don't really want my shit attached to that, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. It's fucking weird. I never like when I first started getting into it. I never ever thought of any of those implications. I don't know. I just want to going and fucking around.
What are some of the more like intensive things that you've made, right? Because like raid mods, depending on whether or not you've tried one in the past, can be a little daunting, but that's by far the hardest thing that you can do. So like I think you shared one with me, I think maybe, and it's escaping me a little bit. But like what are some of the more involved, especially apparel things that you've done?
Oh, involved. The Wooby lined parkas are definitely involved. Those take a lot of time. But the most involved thing is definitely copying the flat pack. Like there's a reason the Haley flat pack is the price it is. And that is because that is not an easy thing. Whoever engineered that, brilliant fucking job. Like the whole zipper design, it took me maybe 3 or 4 tries to get the expanding zipper to work right. And it is not an easy task. I mean, that's probably the most involved thing I've done. And it's not even anything I've made. It's something I just copied. But like it took a lot of work to do that. And it isn't even perfect, you know? So like there is a reason why that thing is so fucking expensive from them. Because it is a nice bag. I can attest to that. It took me like 12 hours to build one. So so yeah, it's nice. They did a good job. Oh man. Most involved thing though. I don't know. I resize a lot of ferro belts. It's not very involved.
Oh, yeah?
I do a couple a week. Wow. Like people will send me their bison belt and I'll cut it 2 inches down. Like cut the Tegris, resew the tag ends, and then ship it out. I do a lot of those. That's kind of been the side focus now. And then, I mean, I had printed this camouflage through Vajra, which was created by Specialized Options. And this was like a process that took us maybe like 3 or 4 months. And it was pretty cool. I had a lot of people asking me for Taz 83, the Swiss Alpenflage,
Okay.
and I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to just print that, and there's nothing really I can cut up. Like I had actually tried a few rigs with the rain shelter, the poncho shelters, and it was
Okay.
just too. So Specialized Options had digitized it, and if you want to talk about camouflage with someone, this this guy is an absolute mastermind. I don't know. He's like one of the most knowledgeable people I know. There's so many. There's such a tight group of people that really know their shit. But this guy, I don't know. It's so impressive. He had made the pattern, and then Vajra had done a couple test prints, which that guy does some cool stuff. Without him, he prints some of this like digital the digital Taz 83 and the Karst. He did the printing for that.
Oh,
But
okay.
like both projects, they went through Specialized Options. He had worked on each kind of pattern, just like checked them, and then we had sent him off to Vajra. So that like that was probably one of the more involved things I had done.
Okay.
And then maybe made like 25 rigs in the digital, and then I'm making a bunch in the Karst. It's just like I haven't gotten that part of my book yet. Like
Okay.
you'll slowly see what people wanted months ago, kind of like a
Nice.
month. Yeah. Um, but yeah, like getting that stuff printed was pretty involved, and that was like really the first time I went through a process like that, which
Okay.
was awesome. The Karst stuff actually was from a guy named his handle is Hannleitasa, and he had there was like a weird thing of finding this camouflage that someone had gotten a photo of a guy in a bazaar, and I'm pretty sure I want to say he was in the Czech. So like there's this random like voyeuristic photo of a dude working his fruit stand in this white jacket, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like that looks like a crazy camouflage pattern. And then people started digging and learning more about it, and eventually someone had gotten their hands on an authentic version of it, and then a lot of reproductions were coming out of that area. And this one dude, awesome person, amazing person, decided to print out a couple yards of it and have a Flecktarn copy jacket made, and he made 10 of them. And it was just really cool to see the process go through. And like that really was like when I was at the height of like buying and selling. Like I was doing like flea markets and stuff, and I was selling at Brimfield. In Brimfield, Mass, there's like a bi-yearly flea market, and I would just lump all my bags of rare shit and just lay them out in a tent, and I would just sell coats and stuff and kind of have fun and buy from other vendors and throw them on my table. And then I was like, man, I want to fucking learn how to make jackets like that. Like I want to make coats, and I had gotten my hands on one of his jackets, and it's like my centerpiece. It's like my inspiration. So when I printed that fabric and made those rigs, it was just kind of like this culmination of like, oh man, this is something you've kind of been into for the past couple of years, and it's like you're just seeing it, you're seeing it fruit, you know. I don't know. It was just cool. It's kind of a homage to those people,
Nice.
like the Karst rigs. I don't know.
That's really cool. And
Yeah.
I think you bring up a good point, like the printing of being able to just print camouflage is, I think, is kind of a game changer, especially in your realm.
Yeah.
Like for so long, people have wanted things even as simple as desert night camo in like an actual usable fabric for gear and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing. Like I started making stuff out of ripstop, and I would eventually be like, oh man, you can't use this for anything. Like
Yeah.
it's breaking in my hands. And then yeah, it's just like I started seeing how there are more outlets now for it, and it does take time, but like you can get small batches of quality printed stuff. It just takes a while, you know.
Now, I I've had one question about the printed stuff because, to my knowledge, I don't have any. I think the most extreme thing I have is a little bit of DNC stuff. Have you looked at any of that stuff under night vision, or has anybody told you like does it reflect goofy? I've
I'm
always wondered.
I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be shit. Like it doesn't matter what it's printed on. It's just the nature of the pattern.
Okay.
It doesn't break any. But like the stuff that we're buying, it's just printed Cordura, and I mean it is the Desert Night stuff you get now is printed in the U.S. Especially from like 0241. I'm pretty sure Moe's as well. Like that stuff is U.S. printed, but I have no idea. And it's
Okay.
funny because so much of it around. Why
Yeah.
aren't there more people sharing photos of it under use? You know,
Yeah.
they maybe because they're spending their money on shit like that instead of dog.
Yeah. No, I've always wondered because like the Chinese, like the Amazon quality gear, right? The Chinese stuff, like under night
Yeah.
vision is super obvious. Like it does some funky stuff compared to like
Well,
legit.
I'm sure that credit to the whatever they're printing with, and then like whatever they're coating the Cordura with.
Yeah.
Because I know like uh, Latvian uniform weight camouflage, for example, the fabric is printed and weaved with like specific type of fiberglass. I don't even know if it is a fiberglass, but it is a fibrous substance that
Okay.
specifically refracts and redirects light. So like I think the stuff you're going to get now is if unless it's printed by a government, it's probably not. I mean, with the
Yeah.
exception of like Revel Camo makes their camouflages and their fabric is specifically in some cases for that purpose, for defeating infrared
Okay.
and like low visibility stuff. But I think if you want third party gear like that, you have to either get fabric printed for those specific contract
Yeah.
manufacturers, like US 4 CES, if it doesn't have the Mexican stamp on it, it's probably not authentic LBT fabric.
Okay.
Or yeah, I don't know, but like it is cool. Some countries like their manufacturer contracts require them to sprinkle in fibrous material in the weave of the uniform weight fabrics and stuff. I think that's probably harder for Cordura, and I'm sure like Cry and Multicam, they're definitely doing something along those lines. But I'd
Yeah.
imagine more for Multicam, probably the coating and
Yeah.
the amalgamation of the pattern. So not just breaking up light, whatever the Cordura is coated with, but also like however those shapes look against
Yeah.
an infrared or ultraviolet source, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about the science of that stuff. I don't know.
No, no
I
worries. I was
see
just
it.
curious.
Yeah, no, I am more curious about it too. I mean, I kind of started looking more into it within the past couple of years, just because of like, well, these fabrics don't really work too well. What does?
Yeah.
So you start like I've started learning more about like Estonian fabric and some of the more modern Russian stuff, and then like Latvia is kind of like ahead of the curve. Um, if you follow some of those guys like De La Serp and Zed the Fed, who are like, man, they're another like they're the administrators of camouflage, dude. These guys never. I mean, they've been talking about Latvian camo for man, fucking seven years now, years. And now I'm just seeing guys get uniform, and like that's how tightly held this stuff is, and it
Okay.
really is because of the technology behind the fabric. And like you feel an Estonian BDU, and you kind of feel the sheen of it. You can tell there's something woven in there, and like you kind of hold a light to it, and you can see it.
Okay.
It's kind of. I've personally never seen anything. I don't have goggles, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I fucking don't make enough money doing this to buy night vision. uh, but yeah, I'd actually be curious. I'd like to see more photos of that stuff actually under light.
Okay.
Um, I would love to see that actually. Yeah.
Well, now I gotta find some, and I gotta figure out how to take decent pictures through nods. So
There has to be someone doing those nowadays.
you would think. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe the streams just aren't crossing quite right yet, but it'll come.
Well, who's that one guy that tests pattern? Is it Brent? Right? I think his name.
Oh yeah, I think so.
That guy's channel is an absolute treasure trove of information. Yeah. Yeah. And then
he does the MRE taste testing too, right? Is that the same guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any Cordura things that are like your signature thing? I don't know if I'm asking that the right way, but like
a product that's mine.
Yeah,
like
if you're like, this is
nothing mine, dude. No? There's like a couple of small things that I've designed from the ground up, but no, I mean everything I do is either from patterns, like sewing patterns that I find, sewing books, or like just literally taking a razor blade through a piece of equipment and being like, I want this in another color, or I want to learn how to make it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really have any claim to anything really. There's been people doing camouflage, jacket mods. I don't know. I have a little bow fang pouch that I use on my cummerbund. Okay. I like to think I made, I don't know. I honestly don't really have too many things for that myself that I've made. Like I don't even have my own jacket, you know. I usually making them like out the door. I'll make one for myself someday. Like one day I'll make this jacket that I've had the fabric for in the back for myself. Yeah, I don't know. I made like I really like the Russian digital EMR1. It works well in New England. I hunt a lot of coyotes. So
okay.
I like to think it's fun or it works well, but I'm just sitting out there looking like a dumbass. But I made myself like just a regular chassis in the material, and that's really about it. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. I like people's stuff.
You got any exciting things that you're working on that you can talk about, want to talk about, new projects, anything like that coming down the pipe?
I think the most exciting thing that I've kind of been ramped up for is a Vietnam mod that I don't know. I don't remember where I first saw it, but somebody had taken a shelter hat or one of the old rain ponchos. It's like a rubberized Cordura, like a rubber on one side and just a plain duck canvas that you just kind of wore around in Vietnam. And they had taken an ERDL like poncho liner, so the blanket, and they basically took the poncho half and made a BDU out of it and then lined it with an ERDL woobie.
Okay.
And I hadn't seen it until a couple of months ago, and I was like, holy shit, this is what I am doing, and this is a Vietnamese tailor making this thing. Like, that's so fucking cool. I have to pay homage to this somehow. So took me a little while, but I found like 2 really nice ponchos and 2 really nice ERDL like shelter hats and the big red zippers. Like I'll have to send you a photo or something. And whenever I find the time, I guess in the next like month or 2, which is what I've been saying for the past like 2 months, I'll make these 2 coats, which I'm pumped about.
Nice.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
So we got a question that popped up here. Dean Chen, who has been killing it doing timestamps on these live feeds for me because I'm way too lazy. He said he's a big fan of your crust cut DNC jackets and wants to know how you came up with the mods.
Oh man, Krishiki.com. I think it's .com. I don't even know. He runs like a surplus site, had come to me with that idea after I had showed him one of my ACU modded parkas, where I would just chop it and then just put the ACU hardware on and put the pockets on the side with the top fabric. And he was like, dude, you should line it with a chocolate chip BDU. And I kind of had remembered seeing an actual issued version of this, like an experimental US government Desert Night parka that was reversible chocolate chip and Desert Night. And I was like, oh man, let's definitely do that. And I sent him the photos, and he was like, all right, I'm going to send you a couple parkas and a couple chocolate chip BDUs, and you can keep the other ones to see what you come up with and send me it back. So that's kind of why it's called the crust cut, because he was like, hey, there's this thing that's sort of what you're doing, and I think you could push it a little further by lining it. Like lining not just the whole parka, but just like in a more low drag way, which is impossible because that thing is so floppy and big. I don't know. I love that, I guess, because that dude
Nice.
kind of came with that idea. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite thing that you've made, or something that just really stands out in your mind as unique?
My favorite thing that I've made is probably I did. Oh man, a Tigrillo. I think a Colombian Tigrillo mod. It was for Fiend and Frankenblocks, and it was just he had sent me a Colombian Tigrillo. I think that's if I'm saying it right. And I don't know. That really was the best combination, and one of my favorite. Like when I put that on the ground when I was done, I was just like, oh man, this feels really good. This is what I feel like I should be doing right now. Like I'm having an absolute blast. I don't know.
Nice.
That was an epiphany moment for me doing that jacket, I guess. Man. And then probably the first Digitaz rig that kind of started messing around with different ideas I had. Like I don't know, really my ideas are just stolen from other people. Like that was the first time I put the elastic on the back of the dangler, which is literally an idea from Hand Attack or who's Timu or whatever. You know, I don't know. Okay. I just steal everybody else's ideas, man. That's it. They're all my favorite. Like I just see shit that I like and inspires me, and it's like, man, that's a fucking brilliant idea. I want to see that, and I want to utilize it. I want to see it more. It's not like a malicious thing, you know, like I'm gonna make money off this brilliant idea. It's like, dude, yeah. I saw Timu use this elastic, you know, so I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna credit him for it, and be like, stole this idea from this guy. You should go check his work out. Like, I don't know. There's this whole misconception of like the small group of guys out for a fucking quick dollar. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, we make a drop in the pan, and it's not an excuse to copy people's stuff. It's just like there's designs that work, and you can't dispute that they're the best thing. Like people innovate every day, but a general overall design has been hard to change, you know? And I think it is what drives innovation. Is if you have people learning individually how to do stuff by copying, then you eventually come up with something new and different. I don't know. I encourage it. I think people should do it.
Yeah.
Malicious or not, you can't stop them from doing it. Why try? I don't know.
Yeah, I might get accused of a little bit of mental gymnastics here, but I think that you're doing it the right way. Like you see something that's interesting to you, and you want to play with the design, and you want to do it in a way that's not going to be offered anyways. I'm sure if people go back through your page, like I'm sure they'll find something, and they'll be like, no, this is a one-to-one copy of something that's out there, and they'll prove me wrong. But like,
oh yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
But like you can't get a chassis in Alpenflage. Like it doesn't happen, right? Like that business is not, or that sale is not stolen because it doesn't exist. And
Yeah, I don't.
and there's only so many ways to skin a cat, right? Like the classic example is like a dual mag pouch, right? Like there is no way of making a dual mag pouch in 2021 that has not been done before.
Can't be improved.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
so I think to go back and to rehash things that have been tried in the past and blend them with the new things, or do the new things in with a little different twist to them, right? Like doing it more for fun necessarily than government contracts, right? Like nobody is buying multicam black and DNC chassis in a professional context, right? Like it's people that see it, they think it's cool, and they want it.
Yeah, a lot of professionals buy this. I don't think they're necessarily using it.
Yeah. I don't want to put
But
that like against anybody that if you
yeah,
buy that you don't know what you're doing. It's probably not for work, I guess.
I don't know. I see it more of a stepping stone. Like everyone should take something they like apart and try to rebuild it. You're just gonna learn from it, and that really what it is. Like, I want to see, guys get government contracts because they really are so talented at what they do. Like there are individuals that do this on a day-to-day basis that really like they take the time to make sure the needle drops every time perfectly. And I think that doesn't matter what they're making, that deserves that type of work, regardless if it's a copy or not. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see everyone have a good time. That's all.
Yeah. And I think the mindset that goes behind it is a big part of it, right? Like you're not like, oh, this is really wanted. There's not enough of them out there. I'm going to make the same thing and I'm going to take a market share. Like that's not what you're doing. And I think that's
No.
the right way to go about it.
Not even close, dude. there's no market share being taken from the tailor-made corner of the world from multi-million-dollar companies.
You
I don't know.
You mentioned
They're
something.
so disconnected from that community. I just feel like the big players really are so disconnected from it sometimes, where they're just like, these guys are just in it to make a fucking dollar. And it's like, no, dude, we're not. We're trying to. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned something earlier that I thought was really interesting, and I want to hit at it just a little bit. The sheer quantity of ferro belts that you're cutting down. I'm going to ask you to ask your customers a question because I'm legitimately curious. I want to know, are they buying the wrong size because belt sizing is confusing, which it absolutely can be, or are they buying the wrong size because large tends to stay in stock a little bit longer than medium, and they're just kind of.
I think that's what it is, because it is. I've had a couple of people like, oh, all I could get was a large.
Okay.
Once they saw me do the thing, they were like, hey, if I get a large, can you cut it down? But there were some guys like, I'm a 32 example. I always buy small shit, and like I'm a pretty nice built skinny dude, but I buy stuff smaller because I want to kind of stretch shit out and I want it to be tight. It's not really that it hurts, but like I want to be at the edge of my shit kind of. And I think people buy stuff kind of thinking it's going to be smaller than it really is, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how I was trying to explain that, but it really is like they either think it's going to be smaller than it really is, or they just get what's in stock and they're like, hey, resize this. So yeah, maybe they made more larges than people wanted. Their sizing chart is pretty straightforward when you read it, but like, I don't know. Maybe there's a disconnect somewhere between customer and manufacturer.
Yeah, I think belts are one of those weird things in the industry that, like, because I've had, so I had a tier belt that essentially was the same thing as a Ronin belt, and the tier belt in a large was at its like extreme for fitting me, and a medium Ronin like fits me like a champ. Like I can take all the slack out of it. So
Yeah,
I really feel like belts, like the industry just is not at like a normal, just
I
like,
think I feel like the way they're being made is it is a little more complicated in the sense of like there's the Tegris, and then some guys will use like binding, like Grosgain 50381, I think, tape for the molly, and
mhm.
some guys will use actual 3-inch molly, like, or 1-inch folded. So there's more, as opposed to just like a belt like this, which is just a piece of webbing,
Yeah.
like 3 layers of shit. So by the time they're probably done with it, I actually have no idea. I've never really made a belt. I just resized them. But it seems like it's a pretty tedious process, and there's probably some, I don't know, I've never noticed a size discrepancy, because like I have to actually go through my phone and look at the photos I've sent to each customer of like, here's where I'm going to cut it next to the measuring tape, and see if I can notice any size discrepancy between larges. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got me thinking about it, I guess. Man, my phone is actually going to die. I'm at like 9.
All right. Well, then I'll ask you the question that I've typically been asking towards the end, and if we lose you, we lose you. If not, we can keep going after this. Um, so the tradition, not that enough people watch this for the tradition to matter, but who would you like to see me try to track down for the next one of these?
Oh man.
And I'll steal a little thunder.
Special.
Specialized options. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that guy just has so much information to just share with people. Like, I don't know. I
I
think
will.
he would be awesome. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him.
I will absolutely hit him up, and I'm working on getting the dude behind TaylorRaid on here. He wants
Yeah,
to do it within the next week, so I think I'm going to break this schedule and do another one of these before next Friday with TaylorRaid.
nice. Yeah, they're actually going to do, I think, a giveaway in April 1st type thing.
Yep, and that's why he wants to hop on, is get on here before that happens.
Nice. Yeah, man. That and specialized options definitely has my vote. Definitely.
Okay, cool. I will absolutely hit him up and study up on what he does, because I've seen him, but sometimes I kind of miss out on people.
Oh man, this guy's asking me real shit. I don't know, dude. I'm reading the finger book. I'm still learning, dude. I don't know. I honestly don't really mess with pants. I've only built them. When I size pants, I seriously just do it around the dick and then measure like right here, and then I kind of build the rest of it off of that. I don't know. I'm still reading my Singer sewing book and learning my French seams. It's funny. All the sizing I do is literally like, hey, send me a photo of a tape measure, or like measure from the top of your shoulder down to the top of your leg or whatever. I don't know. I don't really do pants. There's other guys that do those though.
So
It's fun.
have you made do you have anybody coming to you to make either pants or jackets, like from scratch?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I that's like kind of what I've been holding off my like I just got the domain name, whatever, started setting up my store. But like I have a whole handful of raw garments that I've been doing to put up on there.
Oh,
And
cool.
I just kind of been holding out for the past couple months. But I guess the liners are kind of a separate garment in and of themselves. Because like when I do the full whoopee cut liner, I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually building a coat. So I build a whole interior coat and then sew it in.
Okay,
Like
cool.
I'm not sewing the panels into the jacket. I'm making a whole separate garment and then sewing the cuffs in and then sewing around and down.
Nice.
Yep. But yeah, it's fun. I literally just like see a piece of clothing that I like the cut of, and I throw it on a piece of cloth and I iron it out to the seams so it's nice and flat, and then I'll just cut around it. and
Very
like
cool.
that'll be the pattern. And then I'll use green pepper patterns. Like, I don't know. The anorak ones are pretty good. I've got maybe like 6 jackets that I've made from scratch that I'm gonna put up. I'm pretty pumped actually about that. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hit you up for a couple of things because an anorak is absolutely one of the things that I'm missing out on. And then there's one other thing from way back in the day that never came to fruition that I gotta see if you can do because it'd be pretty neat.
All right, I'll try it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Brian hits you up just to let you know that he uses your micro kit and he thinks it's perfect.
Brian. Yep, that's a stolen idea. Design that. I just put multicam everywhere. Like that's the thing, you know. Like you get these kits and there's, I don't know. I just like using the Velcro, the colored Velcro everywhere type shit. Some people ask for it.
That was one of the questions I got in my messages was somebody wondering where you managed to source all of the Velcro that you do. I think it was you found some patterned Velcro and some kind of unique stuff.
There's so many different places. There's maybe like, I don't know, 10 different suppliers, really, like end suppliers. It's kind of like what other companies print for their contracts, and then they'll kind of put for sale on their websites. So like you kind of just scout around. 0241, MOS Tactical, What the Fuck Idea. Rocky Woods is a great place for fabric. Like Vajra and Full 9, those guys have done an outstanding job of being like, we want to present camouflage on Velcro and we want to do it good. And they really have taken the time to develop a process. And it's been cool to see, I guess. Like I get quite a bit of stuff from them.
Okay, cool.
Which it's not US made, but like those guys have really taken the time to make sure the Velcro is well printed and is actually functional. I don't know. It's comparable. It's cool, but there's so many different places. It's just like I scour the internet, eBay. You know, if you're just searching random keywords, like I look every day for different weird stuff to buy.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of
cool. Not
one stop shop.
Yeah. So I guess to give the people something to look forward to, you are in the process of starting a website.
Yep.
Which will have some in-stock items, and then I assume you'll just keep doing custom items as well.
I don't know. I think I'm going to stop doing commissions for a while.
Oh, okay.
I've got a lot of ideas in my head, and I want to pump them out, man. Like the past year, I haven't really done too many of my own ideas outside of the digital tags and the cars. So like I want to take some time and just put stuff up as I make it and see if that works out. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. No, that'd be exciting to see. It's neat. It's neat when guys like you have the ability and the time and the freedom from customers to just get your ideas out there, because those can be really cool to see.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. I like to think they're pretty neat. I hope other people do too. Yeah, man, it's been fun. I haven't done something like this in a while. Cool. It's nice to just kind of vent out, I guess, have an outlet.
Yeah, no, this is by far my favorite part of this. Like these videos are never going to get the views as like a video with cry in the title, right? But I have way more fun talking to guys like you for an hour and a half on a Friday night than sitting here and answering what armor plate fits in what plate carrier. So
oh man, yeah, those are good questions, right? We'll just leave it at that.
Which have been answered in triplicate in all sorts of videos, but I still get them. So
yeah. See, I'm a jerk to that stuff, man. I'll send them right to GQ. Here's the Discord. Ask the new people channel. Let me know what you think out. Good luck. Godspeed. No.
My absolute favorite will be somebody will send me like a plate model number and like some obscure, like not even sappy cut plate carrier. And maybe how does that fit? I don't know. I don't have either of those things.
Yeah.
So Good question. Maybe don't buy the most obscure stuff possible, and it'll work out fine.
And you should learn about it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. You should get the most obscure shit and then realize you made a bad purchase.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm at 2, dude.
All right.
I'm gonna.
Well, I really appreciate you being on the show or the podcast or whatever we call this disaster. But thank you so much for your time, especially on a Friday night, this late at night.
Yeah, man.
And I think everybody that I've had on, like I want you guys to be as successful as possible. So I hope your business continues to grow and that the website works out well. And
I want the same thing. I think it's awesome.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Dude, thanks to everybody that's ever given me an idea.